Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. All right, let's jump into it. TD's recent housing market prediction might actually shock you. TD gave their prediction for the entire 2025 year and 2026 for Canada as a whole. So if you're just trying to figure out where the market's headed right now, watch this video right to the end. I was seeing in the comments that some of you are confused about what's going on in your area, if it's actually outperforming the rest of Canada. Well, you're going to want to watch this because I'm breaking it all down in plain English. Before we dig in, make sure you like and subscribe if you appreciate real talk about what's really happening out there, and it would also help us get this message across to others. Now, let's get started with the basics. TD just dropped their provincial housing market outlook, and it's not exactly what we've been seeing in the 2020-2021 years. They're saying the first quarter of 2025 was a real letdown in areas of Ontario and British Columbia. Home sales down, and Ontario seen double-digit decreases. Prices, they increased in areas like Newfoundland, PEI, Nova Scotia, Quebec, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, but the heavyweights, Ontario and BC, saw a decline. Let's keep in mind the areas that rose the fastest are coming down the hardest. And an important disclaimer, if you dig deeper, you will see different trends in bigger cities. These predictions are for provinces as a whole, taking into account big cities and towns. So let's continue. Back in December, TD was expecting a bit of recovery. They thought looser mortgage rules and lower rates would give the market a lift. But instead, we got slapped with tariff fears, political instability, and a shaky job market. Totally different vibe than what we expected heading into this year. And listen, I felt it in my own business. Normally, spring market's heating up right now. But instead, I asked myself, did I just blink and miss the entire spring market? I also have agents calling asking me if I'm actually getting showings on any of my listings because they're getting a big, fat zero. Yeah, it's that type of market in pockets of Ontario and the GTA. That's not by accident. That's buyer hesitation. People are spooked. And the TD report basically confirms what a lot of us have already been seeing. Confidence is way down. Let's talk national outlook first. TD is forecasting a 0.9% decline in home sales across Canada by 2025. Average home prices, they're calling for a 3.2% drop nationally. But let's zoom in on Ontario because that's where it really hits home for us here in the GTA. Ontario is expected to see home sales drop by 7.6% and prices fall by 6.4% this year. We have already seen higher price drops already in the Greater Toronto area. That's the worst of all the provinces when it comes to price correction. Why? Because demand is weak, inventory is building, and in places like the GTA, it's clearly a buyer's market. And prices rose significantly in a short period of time. So what did you expect? Now let's take a look at the rest of the country with TD's 2025 predictions broken down by province. All right, guys, so here is the goods. So provincially, we're looking at Manitoba, Newfoundland and Labrador, Nova Scotia, and Alberta will be seeing price growths of over 4%. And Quebec will be seeing higher growth at 7.4%, followed by Saskatchewan at 9.8%, and New Brunswick with the highest growth estimated at 10.7% for home prices. And let's look at the losers. We got PEI coming down by 1%, which is very nominal. British Columbia coming down by 4.1% in home prices, and Ontario being the biggest loser, like I mentioned before, at 6.4% decline in home prices. There's always been a debate. Which province do you think will come out the strongest by the end of 2025? We all know these predictions could swing based on current and future events. Put your prediction in the comments. You know we always love to read them. So, back to the report. We learned something. Affordability is now the new currency of real estate. Markets that still offer value are holding their own, But overpriced markets like Ontario and BC, well, they're getting hammered. Again, a disclaimer, I get comments, for example, like Vancouver pockets, they are not experiencing drops in price. This video is just a provincial outlook. If you want a more specific outlook, that will have to be another video. We are looking at the general prediction for Canada.
I got it.
So back to TD's housing market report. Don't get discouraged because TD isn't calling this a collapse. Although some of you may offer a different opinion, let's continue. They're saying 2025 is going to be subdued, but things could get a lot better in 2026.
Oh, really?
Well, a more stable market outlook that we are all used to. And I don't know if I agree on this, and I'll tell you why. 2026 will see the highest number of mortgage renewals. You know, the homeowner that got record low interest rates, they are now going into an environment where their rate will more than double. So undoubtedly, we will see a lot more inventory flooding the markets. So the demand and supply theory kicks in. When you have more supply than demand, will there be stability? Only time will tell. So now I'm bringing up my second diagram here. So this one's the 2026 forecast, and it's looking a lot more optimistic. So we're seeing price growth at very nominal percentages in Ontario and BC, just over 2%, followed by Newfoundland and Labrador at 3.4%, and Quebec, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and PEI over 4%. And the biggest winners for price appreciation for next year, according to TD, is Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba at just over 5%.
Oh, baby.
That's a big swing. Why? A few reasons. They think tariff-related uncertainty is going to ease up. Interest rates could hit multi-year lows, and we've got a ton of pent-up demand just waiting to explode. There is always a need to buy, whether it's expanding the family, relocating for a job, downsizing for empty nesters. But right now, they are just waiting and probably watching videos like this, waiting to see how our economy unfolds. Many are just scared right now, and I completely understand that. Let's be real. If you survived 2022, 2023, and 2024, you're battle tested by now, and that caution is what's slowing everything down today. Now, this is important. TD says price growth will be capped. Why? Because affordability is still broken in key markets like Toronto and Vancouver. Even rates go down, if prices are still out of reach, people aren't buying. Now, here are my thoughts. This outlook came out right before supersized tariffs were announced by the US. Will there be another revised outlook, perhaps? And we will definitely be looking out for that. You're going to see people moving out of the city, looking for deals, or staying put longer than ever. Here's what I'm seeing personally right now. In Ontario, a lot of people have the need to make a move, but deals aren't closing like they used to. Buyers are taking their time. They might even love the property, but they're just not pulling the trigger right now. And what I'm also seeing a lot of is people who have a house to sell. They're just waiting for their property to sell first before purchasing. So this is really slowing the process down. And honestly, that's a smart move. This is the kind of market where you need to understand what you're doing. It's not about emotion, it's about logic. And on the selling side, you can't just slap a price on your house and hope for 10 offers anymore. You need to price strategically, market properly, and actually negotiate. This is where skill really matters. Like I said this before, when the market was hot, you could sell a shack with zero effort. Now, that same shack might sit unless you have a solid plan. So here's the real takeaway. If you're a buyer, this is your market. Don't rush, but stay alert. Good deals are out there, especially for Ontario condos and outer regions. The bottom is not yet hit for that market. If you're a seller, be real. Forget the record highs, we're not there. But that doesn't mean your property won't sell. You just need to get serious about the strategy. You really need to keep your eye on your competition more now than ever. Believe me when I say that. And if you're just unsure, reach out. We are always here to answer any questions. All right, if you stuck with me this far, thank you so much. These are the kinds of conversations that matter, especially when the market gets shaky. And like I always say, knowledge is your advantage. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.